Hello again, video time. In this video, I'm going to just talk a little bit about the difference between a squash tail and a round tail and how that affects the performance of a board and maybe what waves or whatever you might want to choose one or over the other. In this case, I don't have the same models here, but I'm talking about if you're riding a board that's similar boards with different tails, what it's going to feel like. So first, the squash tail. This is something that you see on pretty much the standard for shortboards for years and years and years is like squash tail. You're going to see guys in contests, the best surfers, whatever it is. Most of them in the past have always been riding squash tails, and it's still true. A lot of them still are. What the squash tail does, it's one of the most versatile things. It's a very good tail for slightly slower waves or slightly weaker waves. What it does, those extra area in the tail is going to give you a little extra lift, right? And so that lift is going to help keep you up on top of the water, which is how you get speed. As soon as you're up planing on a board, that's how you're getting your most speed. And if you have a little extra area in the tail that's adding to that, a little bit of pressure to pop you up, that's going to help you out. And especially if you're riding a wave that's a little bit slower, you can use that little extra edge to keep things going. Performance wise, beyond that little like slower wave, better speed, having those two corners to pivot off of, it really helps the board kind of go up and down a little bit easier. It's a little more like you push against something and it's digging in and getting up into the lip really easy. And then it also, the only negative to that is when you're on a bigger wave or a faster, more powerful wave, and you push off the bottom, and that's creating pressure. That tail is creating pressure underneath here. The water wants to squirt off of it, and it almost wants to lift it out of the water sometimes. And that means that you're going to have to kind of nurse your bottom turn maybe a little bit, and then it could go the same off the top turn. When you're in a slower wave, that pressure actually helps you get speed, and then as you're going off the top, that pressure might help you release your tail and get you a little bit of freedom in the lip, but it helps with that like driving and creating speed a little bit easier. When you get to a round tail, if you're basically just getting rid of the edges of that board, right? You're adding curve, so you're cutting off these two corners of the board essentially. And you're taking away a hair of volume. It's irrelevant essentially. But what you are doing is you're creating a line that's a little different. So when you have a lot of speed, this board is going to you're going to be able to lean into it a little bit more than you can on that board because the tail it's releasing pressure when it doesn't have where the missing foam is not creating pressure. So as you come off the bottom, you can push a fair bit harder and feel confident the board's not going to pop out like this, right? And as you come off the top, it might not feel as snappy, like pivoty, but it will hold through carves much better. And it's going to handle turns at speed way better than a squash tail will. So those things are like, you're kind of, this is more of a speed creator, snappier feeling. This is more of a speed controlling, carvier, stronger turning board. The one thing to keep in mind when you do talk about round tails is we're not talking about round pins, a gunny board. Like you think of a round tail as a pin, it's not a pin, it's a round tail. So it's still loose. It's not a tight feeling thing. You're not pulling in the tail at the fins. You're just cutting that corner off of it, right? So you still have that loose feeling board. And then actually having that curve through the tail and the outline keeps it even nice and looser too. So it kind of balances out, removing some area, but then adding more curve keeps it real loose and friendly and sparky feeling. So both of them great boards, both are great tails. And I would just say a simple way to put it is like slower, weaker waves, you want a squash tail. Faster, more powerful waves, you're going to want to ride a round tail. And both of them are going to help you get the most out of those kind of conditions and those types of waves. They're both great.